Do you mean the people who sit on Wednesday or? Okay, I don't know. There's different crowds for each night. And there is rather a large Vietnamese Buddhist community that is responsible for starting this. And they meet on Sundays. I don't know how, I'm sure amongst the people that have come regularly over the years, it's 100 or more. Okay. But we aren't one community in that sense. We are in the sense that we all participate here, but the crowds on each are very different. So Monday night is much more strict Vipassana. Very much just noting the breath, noting what's arising, much silence, silence for 20, 30 minutes, and then walking for 15 minutes, and then questions. Is that a certain variety of Vipassana? No, Vipassana is pretty, well, yes, there are different Vipassanas. This one comes out of that one is Mahasi Sayadaw tradition. Some of the others, like on Sunday, I think it's more in the Thich Nhat Hanh, the Plum Village tradition. It is, but he was also Vietnamese, so it's, yeah, but they don't practice strict Zen. It's not like the Zen community up in the back of Manoa. Ours is much more mindfulness, coming from Jack Kornfield and Tara Brach, sort of Western oriented. Okay, so we do give Dhamma talks, and it is related to Buddhist teachings, but it generally comes more from, say, Western psychology than from strict. Those guys actually are from the They are, but Jack Kornfield also studied with Ajahn Chah, which comes from the Thai forest monk tradition. So he's. They did, and then they took what, yeah, and adapted it for the West. Well, you may be the only yogi here tonight. Yeah.
Just need to start. I would say that we're similar to Michelle McDonald and I just forgot his name. Yeah, there's someone that does Sunday sitting online.
I think that comes from the Big Island. And they're or from Maui, but they are students who studied with Michelle McDonald. Okay. In fact, a lot of the community in all of this used to practice in that tradition. Okay. Yeah, 26 years ago or something, quite a while ago. Yeah, so welcome. We're glad you're here tonight. I guess we'll just do the whole thing. Let me bring Amy on in a way that you can see us both.
Yummy.
Oh, you're eating. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're both here. I'll put it back to the other camera in a minute. So welcome. I'm Bob. That's Amy on the TV there. And
Isla.
Isla. A-I-L.
Just I-L-A.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The restaurant's in the foyer. Okay. And we ask you, there's a slide lock and a door lock. Use the slide lock, because if you forget to unlock the door lock, it'll let you out, but it'll lock behind you and we'll have to go put the code in. Now, we do have the code, so it's not a big deal. The other thing is the Bodhi Tree's been really generous to us. They don't charge us anything for being here. And Amy and I take nothing, but there is a box out front. And if you found what's here useful, and I don't just mean us, you might not find us useful at all, but you might find the space useful, and you feel like contributing something to them, it's up front. And Trin, the director, has her card there. Okay. And you might want to take that so you can get on the mailing list and things like that. Because she does send out, I think it's Meetup.
Yeah, Meetup.
Yeah, so that's where you would find it, or Bodhi Tree Hawaii. Okay. And so I guess we'll just get started. I'm actually used to only having one person. I've been doing meditation at work online for about 6 years. I've never had nobody show up. But I have had one person show up from time to time. All right, so we're going to start with some.
Let me interrupt. Yeah, I was just gonna say welcome, and yes, this is the first time we've had one person, and I think it's kind of sweet. I still think people could show up late because that's what people do, but welcome, and yeah, this is kind of our spiel, our morning, we just give the info about the same information every time. And then yeah, we kind of gave you a sense of like how the night will roll. And oh, actually, since it's just you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about, your practice and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I kind of started when I was 18, well, 16, getting interested in it, but
So
not
2 years ago.
right, exactly. But past than that, it was about 30 years ago, I did my first 10-day retreat, and it was the Goenka style. And I sort of continued on with that format for probably about 20 years, so stepping in and out, because it's very strict. You have to meditate 2 hours a day. And when you go to the retreats, they're so intense on your body. And so I wouldn't go every year, but I definitely did about 10 of those retreats. And then I lived in Massachusetts and I started to get interested in, I read a book by Jack Kornfield, The Path with the Heart, and I just really loved it. And so I started being more interested in like Western teachers and the softness around the practice and like take it for yourself and do what you can do in your life. And I don't know. I love going to go for where he's brought me and for training the mind, but it's definitely a little bit more intense than I could bring into my day-to-day life. So I have just done a retreat at Spirit Rock with Guy Armstrong and this amazing teacher, May. I forget her last name. But anyways, yeah, I really want to find community around it. I haven't in Hawaii, really. So it's just been me solo for the most part.
Well, I think we'd be happy to point you to some other places after this.
Cool. Sounds good.
Because Amy and I actually we sit at a couple of sanghas regularly when she's in town on Thursday and Saturday. Again, there's other events here.
Right.
And there are some other things going on around town. So
wonderful.
Yeah. And I love Spirit Rock. I sit at their Sama.
I wanted to ask if it was,
Sorry.
Yeah.
sorry, the delay. I was wondering if it was May Elliott? No, May.
Maybe. I'm really
Maybe not May Elliott. Anyways, I was just curious. Yeah. Yeah, and as Bob was saying, a few years ago I was in the same spot as you around the end of COVID, and it was wonderful to find a bunch of different like groups that practice similar to Jack Cornfield's style and stuff like that, Path with Heart. And so yeah, if you're looking for Sangha, you can definitely find it in Hawaii. A little bit easier than Fairbanks, Alaska. So if I was you, I would check some things out if you have the time. So
yeah, for sure.
But welcome.
Thank you.
Anyway, what I was saying was I sit every summer at the Metta retreat and the Insight Meditation retreat. So it's 18 nights in a row. I find that really helpful.
Yeah.
This is
I want to do the forest retreat this summer for the month long at IMS.
Talk to Amy.
Have you done that?
She's not IMS, but have you done IMS?
So I did was it a week long or a 10-day? And it was the outdoor retreat with Mark Coleman, I think it was, at Spirit Rock. So if that's what you're talking about, like in nature, is an in nature retreat. Yeah, so that was neat. But I haven't done IMS yet.
Yeah,
the certain thing, the forest retreat, which is to do like
Yeah.
a month long, 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah. And like,
One of my teachers just did that.
yeah,
She goes every year for a month long.
so good.
We can talk about other resources after this, though. Otherwise, by the way, that's Trin. I like Trin. She's the director here. So if you want to find out more about what's going on here, she is the perfect resource.
Great.
Yeah, we can talk after.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to switch
A
out.
lot of travelers for Thanksgiving.
I'm sorry.
I said a lot of travelers. Everyone's gone.
Yeah, Allison and Benjamin. Allison's on the Big Island. Benjamin doesn't have a ride because Allison's not here. But he may be watching on YouTube, and if you are, hi, Benjamin. Let me switch things up here. All right, we're going back to this camera and some movement. Let's start. We're going to do just some really basic, nice, deep cleansing breaths to begin with. And then we're going to do some seated movement with our arms and our spine, our sits bone, and our torso. How many of us work behind desks? No, good for you. The rest of you, this is really good for those of us who spend too much time. So let's get into a comfortable position where we're firmly planted. You're doing great sitting that way. Jimmy, you can make sure we're all good there. And just start by relaxing a little and taking some nice deep cleansing breaths. Big breaths in, exhale a little slowly. All right, we can start with our hands on our legs. This one we're going to be stretching our spine, but let's start by pushing down with our sits bones. So we're sort of lengthening our spine by sitting down. We can pull the navel in towards our spine a little, allowing ourselves still to have room to breathe. We're not going to try and not move our diaphragm when we breathe. And let's take our left arm and on the in-breath, slowly move it up and over our head and then down with our palm up so that you can rest your forearm on your head. Maybe our chin up a little. As the teacher who taught this to me says, this is the oh my God position. Oh my God. And just feel the arm and the shoulder and the lengthening of the spine and pulling through here. When we sit for too long, we don't stretch these muscles, we don't stretch these tendons, and they get tight. So we're just allowing this to be present. If you want, you can move your elbow back a little, sort of pivoting on our head and feel that. If there's any pain, though, there's no need to do that. And let's just take maybe 5 long 5 to 10 second breaths. Just feeling that stretch. And at our own pace, when we've done 5 breaths or so, just inhale, and on the exhale, bring the arm back slowly. And just spend a moment or two noting the difference between the left side of our shoulder and rib cage and the right side. If we feel increased energy flow or relaxation of the muscles. And just so we don't walk around in circles, listing to one side a little later. Let's do the same with our right arm. So on an in-breath,
Raise our arm up onto the top of our head with our palm up. Just allowing it to be present. Breathing slowly. Chin up a little. Oh my God. One more time. If we like, we can pivot our shoulder back using the top of our head as a pivot point. Not going too far. We don't want to hurt ourselves, but just allowing all of the stretching to go through our side. And again, let's take 5 or so cleansing breaths, nice deep ones, 5, maybe a few more seconds. Keeping our sits bones pressed down to lengthen our spine a little. And when you're ready, inhale, and on the exhale, return your hands to your lap. Slowly and comfortably. And let's spend a minute just feeling how this feels in our body. I do this one at work a lot, sitting at my desk. All right, so let's continue with a little more mindful movement and just rotate our shoulders. Maybe 10 times forward, 10 times backwards at your own pace. And when that feels comfortable, let's just shake a little. Shake our hands. Let them wobble around. Okay, and let's raise our hands up over our head. Continue shaking and stopping. Palms up. Nice big breath in. And then let's just fold over carefully so that we don't hurt our back. And just hang. Grip your ankles and pull yourself down a little. Again, be careful not to hurt yourself. If anything feels tight or tense, just stop and back off a little. And then a nice big inhale in as we raise ourselves up, using our legs to push up if we can, or our hands like that. And up, and shake it out. And then let our hands return. Sometimes we're a little more active and do a little more. But tonight we'll let it go with that. And let's get ready for our first sitting. Let Amy see the whole Sangha here. Welcome. We're going to sit for about 15 minutes. Then we're going to take a break. But what's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, welcome. I'm Bob. Amy's on television. You can't see her at the moment, but we'll bring her back in a minute.
We're so glad you're here. And that's, what's the name of the doctrine? Zuzu. I always want to say Zazu for some reason. All right. So we're going to do a little Thanksgiving gratitude meditation because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So let's settle into a comfortable meditation posture. This is somewhere between breath meditation and metta. So we don't need to be upright and truly alert. Just make sure we're comfortable. Let me ring the bell. And let's just begin by sitting. Again, taking a breath or two to cleanse ourselves. Nice big breaths in. Exhaling slowly. And if you have any issues with breath meditation, I invite you to choose a different object, the sense of sitting, the sounds around us. For this meditation, there's nothing particularly special about the breath other than we breathe. Just allowing ourselves to become aware of the rhythm of our breath. Rising and falling. And Thanksgiving is a time of gratitude and of being with family and friends. So I invite us to be grateful for this breath, this one breath. If you've chosen another object, such as sitting, then gratitude for the earth holding us dear, our connection deep with the earth through our feet, our sits bones. Allowing ourselves simply to be present with what is and grateful that we can be here. We simply allow the sounds around us to be present, grateful that we are hearing. Sensations in our body, pleasant or unpleasant. Can we be grateful that our body speaks to us and lets us know how it's doing? Thank you, body.
If you like, let's now bring to mind one blessing that we've received. This needn't be large or world-shaking. It might simply be the remembrance of a stranger smiling at us as we walked down the street today. A touch of metta. And if you like, we might put our hands on our heart for this, to feel the warmth of touch, being thankful for this small gift we received, or this large one, this Thanksgiving season. We aren't seeking to grasp after this and have a repeat of it. We're simply grateful that it occurred and we were present for it, that we noticed. We aren't sad that it's over. Again, just gratitude that it occurred, that we were present. One of my favorite sayings is, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Continuing, I invite us to bring to mind the people we've met this evening in Sangha, the friends and family we may be sharing our Thanksgiving with, or the friends and family we'll miss not sharing Thanksgiving with them. Bring them to mind with metta, and we might repeat silently simple phrases of gratitude. Thank you for being in my life. I'm grateful for how you have touched me, for how you have helped me, for allowing me to help you. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. If we're carried away with thoughts, it's perfectly okay. Smile. You noticed. And simply return to metta, perhaps touched by compassion. If friends or family are in distress, we are aware of their suffering. May your suffering end. May you be peaceful. And allow ourselves to return to our body and our breath. Breathing in deeply, being grateful for the breath. And allow the words of the poet Joy Harjo, a Native American poet, become part of our meditation, of our thankfulness and gratitude this Thanksgiving Eve. This poem is called Remember. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away to night. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember. Thank you for practicing with me. We'll now take about a 7-minute break. We would ask that you possibly remain in silence. The restroom is that way. There are cups on the water fountain if you'd like a drink, but don't bring an uncovered cup in here. There's no water in the cooler, but the faucet in the bathroom works. So, and you're more than welcome to go out on the line. It's beautiful. And we'll see you in about 7 minutes.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the portion of the evening that we now turn over to Amy. So I'll be putting her on the camera and we'll let her do her thing. Thank you so much for being here, Amy. Let me get the camera moved over and it will be all yours.
So Bob and I have been talking about the paramis, which is often translated as the 10 perfections. And last week, Bob was talking about his difficulty, his that with that word perfections. And it's actually not the best translation for the paramis. A better translation is to be going over to the other side, going over to the other side. And Kim Allen said, the 10 paramis are qualities of character that we cultivate along the path that enable us to cross over the floods, that enable us to cross over the floods. And the floods are dukkha, unease, or suffering. And I really like this idea of like these qualities being almost like, well, first I thought of it like a raft, but then I thought more of it like a bridge we build of qualities that help us. And on the other side is more freedom, more peace. And they build upon each other. So we are currently on, I believe, number 7. Does that sound right? I think that sounds right. Or number 8. And they build, as I said, they build upon each other. The one before this one was patience. And this week or last week too, Bob was talking about truthfulness. And in order to hear inside of us our own truth, it takes quite a bit of patience. It takes quite a bit of patience to be able to hear difficult things, to see outside of our delusion. It's tricky. It's tricky. And so they built, I love that they, you know, this I'm imagining this bridge that you can build across the flood of pain, the pain that we create in our mind, the pain of being human, that patience and truthfulness, that it can allow for us to have more and more moments of freedom, move towards more and more moments of freedom in our lives. And I don't know about you, but I have a tricky feeling around truthfulness too, because like there's a lot out there that claims to be the truth. And I am the youngest in my family. My siblings are 6 years older and 10 years older. And I felt like most of the time I didn't know what the truth was. I didn't know what was going on. And if I did, then I felt like maybe it was questioned what's true. And I don't know if you know what that feels like, to have like what feels inside true for you to be questioned. It can be difficult. And sometimes supportive and skillful to lean into that and to listen, not from ego or self or defensiveness, but to listen and see if there's something there to be learned. And then see if we can see if see if that's something for us, or see if it's not something for us. Because what can be true to another person might not be, it might be coming from their own sense of their own identity and stuff. And all throughout, the world we're in today, there's like a battle for what is true. These sides, this this true, this is true, no, this is true, this, and going into Thanksgiving and holidays and being around potentially, if you're around family or if you're not around family for a reason, it can be because of this, because we have these ideas, these truths that we believe inside, or that they believe inside, that might feel not aligned. And so, yeah, inside it was kind of like causing me dukkha all week. Actually, the last 2 weeks, as soon as we hit this paramis. Um, yeah, I have a complicated relationship with the truth too. Um, because of this, because it almost feels like a debate sometimes when it comes to human interactions around what's true. When I pause and I close my eyes in real life or in here, it's to check in. What's true for me in this moment? And there can be delusion, it can be not knowing in so many ways of what is true. We can think we know it's true and we could be totally off. We could feel into what feels true, and we could be surrounded by people who don't think it is, and it could be a sense of trueness inside. This path that can be swimming upstream. It's a lot of the reason why they recommend having sangha around. It's a big part of having community around that is also taking a pause and aware of our own delusions, aware that like we aren't seeing clearly from one moment to another. Recently, I had a tough conversation with a friend, and it was after I sat for a while and attended this few-hour Dharma workshop last weekend, and I had this moment. I was like, oh, this feels true. This feels true. And even as I spoke it later on to this friend, I was like, I think this is what's true, but it also could just be filled with delusion. The tricky piece of it all. And so the practice, we try to simplify what's true. We come back to the breath. If I can't figure out world peace, if I can't figure out how to deal with my to-do list or have a difficult conversation with someone, if I can't figure out my grief, I can know the breath in this moment. know my body in this moment. At least little pieces of it. And simplifying what can be quite complex. And just like everything in the Dharma, simplifying what's complex makes sense at times. And then at other times, we need the complexity. The complexity is what adds to the truth of it all. And this too. And so, as I thought about this talk today, I thought, well, for tomorrow also, I did a practice earlier through happy hour, through Insight Redwood City, and they do this metta happy hour at 6 p.m. California time on weekdays. They've been doing it since the beginning of COVID, so I've been hanging out with these people 5 days a week for 5 years, over 5 years, and the talk was on gratitude for Thanksgiving and just like Bob's sit. And I think my brain was making connections within this of sometimes we miss what's true because of, in like the psychological world, what you call the negativity bias, which is essentially, another form of dukkha, negativity bias. We don't, as humans, we don't see necessarily what's the goodness in front of us. We don't see that like everything in this room that we're surrounded by, your room and my room, has been touched by another human in some way, built, human by human by human, in so many different ways. That the humans have come together to create what's all around us, what we consume and what holds us in our homes, rides us in our cars. We're all like so interconnected in ways and have supported each other in ways, even though we don't support each other in some other ways. There's so many ways in which we are supported. And this negativity bias keeps us alive. Historically, that's our ancestors are here because they had really great negativity bias. They knew where the dangerous things were. They knew where things were not safe. And now it's encoded in our system too, right? Like to survive, we needed to know the bad. We needed to know what was negative. And it doesn't always work for us. And so I often use the phrase, and I don't know which Dharma teacher I got it from, probably multiple Dharma teachers, and this too, and this too. And so for gratitude, I often like to think of it like that. I like to think of it as, and this too, because that doesn't discredit the pain we're in. That doesn't discredit the confusion. That doesn't take away from the reality of, oh, my knee hurts, or someone I love is gone, or I can't spend time with my family on these holidays because of, or they're not around, or whatever it is. It doesn't take away from the complexity of our pain. It doesn't need to minimize it to say, and this is true too. We're sitting here, and I'm here in beautiful Alaska, snow-covered trees. I have Christmas trees surrounding me. Essentially, it's covered in snow. It's cold and dark out there too. And I'm only getting, the sun rises about 10 a.m. and sets around 3 p.m. And what's true is I get to see the stars all the time. What's true is the Big Dipper never actually like leaves the horizon. It just like circles me. What's true is the Northern Star is almost straight up from me. It's really cool. It's true is the cold is can be good for my joints in some ways. What's true is that I have to drive very mindfully. you know, I have to be really present and patient with the environment and with the humans around me, you know, and it's teaching me. It's teaching me to be courageous and present and still. I pause and I notice how so slow and fast the snowflakes fall, how thick and thin they are. I do miss Hawaii. I was thinking about Hawaii a lot today. I work out of school, and a lot of the students and teachers are going to Hawaii. They're like on their way right now or are already there. And I was like, oh, they get to be in Hawaii? What is Hawaii? I'll be there in a few weeks, by the way, you guys. Um, uh, yeah. And what's true for you all too, like, you know, there's the rain, there's the mosquitoes, there's the bugs, there's politics, there's probably family challenges, there's probably relational challenges, there's probably loneliness, there's probably financial things, there's probably this and this and this and this and pain and difficulty and fear, and the world is kind of on fire and it's tough. And we're seated here together in a place. You guys are seated together, you know, with this beautiful heart to show up to do this beautiful practice. This beautiful practice is about causing less harm to ourselves and others. And yeah, some people have a really hard time with gratitude practices, and so I like that frame of, you know, what else is true, or and this too. This is supporting me, holding me, resourcing me. This grounding. And when I fell in love with the practice, it was because it felt so true. It felt so incredibly true. Sorry, I was just checking on things. I'm gonna switch to my earbuds just to see if it can help things over there. Are you guys, am I okay-ish? Am I doing okay over there? Yeah? Okay, good. Am I still coming in pretty well? Good? Cool. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Sylvia Bornstein said, every moment of mindfulness is a moment of truthfulness, of direct knowing, direct and clear. True understanding is such relief. And Joseph Goldstein said, truthfulness is the antidote to self-delusion. This parami includes being truthful about one's own mind. And I think that's important because I think that, at least the way I understand this parami, it's not about going around and saying your truth to everybody, right? That's not always skillful. It's about, you know, wise speech is about timing in a lot of ways. It's about, you know, knowing if it's going to be skillful or harmful. If we walked around just blurting out truths, that would not be the Dharma. There's still a sense of pause if the truth should be spoken. But the truth in here, our knowing, our awareness, for myself, when I have moments that feel like insight, and I even say that feel like insight, because I still am aware that even if it feels like insight, it doesn't, I don't know if it'll continue to unfold in that way, right? It feels like insight though, it still feels like the Dharma's inside me, feels safer, feels clear, feels supportive. So it's that truthfulness with ourself, about the complexity of something, and this too. Sharon Salzberg said, the truth is available at every moment when we trust our own ability to discover it. And Jack Kornfield said, the truth is the foundation of freedom. Discover the healing power of telling the truth to yourself and others. And that's on that too. Sometimes it does make sense to tell the truth to others. A friend took me to an AA meeting this last summer, and it was they were going through the 10 steps, and they were on the step of where they're making amends. Making amends is telling the truth. And it kind of blew me away and freaked me out at the same time. I was like, well, I've not been a part of a program like that, but like I kind of feel like I should in some way for the things I do cling to, the things that I have had my own, suffering on. And oh my gosh, if I had to go back and tell the truth to some of these things that I've like clung to and not been honest about, it scares the crap out of me. and and they also talk about, when is it skillful? When is it skillful to do an amends with prayer, with our actions, internal amends. It's not called that, I don't think, but it's called something like that. Yeah. The truth can be scary and hard. And the timing and the love of this practice, the patience, the metta of it. When I hold the truth and I feel it inside with the Dharma, I feel it with a sense of love. Even if it's me making a mistake, there's still a tinge of love holding it. This being human, this accepting our mistakes. Yeah. And the tenderness that I can hold it with. Mary Stankovaj, I don't know, said, we are invited to reflect on being honest with this world and more difficult. We are invited to reflect on being more honest with this world and more difficult being honest with ourselves. There is freedom in the truth. Let's go ahead and sit. Go ahead and let yourself maybe shift or stretch for a moment. I'm going to let my knees stretch out for a second. We'll sit for about 15 minutes. Here and now. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. No one to be. there's any part of you that has difficulty with this holiday, sending a little bit of love or compassion there. Acknowledging the difficulty and imagining a dear one or your own dear voice, holding that, caring for that, hearing that. And then letting it go. Here and now. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to be. And you can do your own practice, or I'll drop in the invitation. But think of, consider, allow to come into your mind something that makes you smile. Maybe if something's tricky, you can really simplify it. Or you can try just like letting your mouth form into a small smile, small Buddha smile. The muscles in our face, when they go into a smile, and produces chemicals in the brain that allow, that can allow for some happiness and ease. And if this isn't right for you, please just let it go and do your own practice. But if it feels available, yeah, what makes me laugh? What makes me smile? Maybe bringing to mind the last time you laughed really, really hard. Or the last time you were amused.
tickled. And then sending a moment of gratitude, sending gratitude to that which allows us to smile, to laugh, to feel joy. Maybe something simple. I think of dog. And when you're ready, letting that go too. And returning to your anchor right here, right now. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you about mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and deep trees, the mountains and rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. You do not have to be good. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Thank you all. Well, this is the moment of the evening where
Hold on.
Bob plays with the YouTube and we, okay.